So this one is your second handout. And it's not that much different. Maybe a couple of problems here and there. All right. I should do it this way. Okay. So again, the operation is the same, right? Still division. The numbers are not going to change. What you have to worry about is your signs. A negative divided by a negative is positive. 45 divided by 9 is 5. Positive divided by a negative is negative. And 63 divided by 3 is negative. It's going to be negative 21. 81 divided by 9, let's do the numbers here, is 9. But it's a negative divided by a positive, so I get this. Negative divided by negative is a positive. You don't need to write the plus sign. I'm just writing it. And 121 divided by 11 is just 11. Let me get some room. So here, and again, I know it's going to be negative. So let me rearrange this. It's negative 1 over 7 times 14 over 3, right? So I know my answer is going to be negative. Is there anything I can simplify before multiply? 7 and 14. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. And that's it. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3, so you get 2/3 minus 2/3. Now, that's the same thing as this, which is the same thing as this. Okay, because the whole thing is negative, right? So either of the three answers are fine. Again, negative 5 over 8 times 16 over 5, and that's negative, sorry. So I know my answer is going to be positive. And do what you've always been doing. Now just multiply. Well, this and this becomes 1 and 1, right? 5 divided by 5, top and bottom. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. I get 1 times 2 on the top and 1 times 1. I get 2 over 1, which is the same thing as just plain 2. Next one, 3 over 5 times, and let me put this over 1, 1 over negative 4. So it's a positive fraction and a negative fraction. It's going to get a negative answer. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay. This is positive. Positive time divided by positive. I really have to do this one. 5 over, I put it over 1 times 1 over 10. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Remember, you're multiplying something in the top, dividing something in the top, either numerator, with something, finding a common factor for something in the numerator and something in the denominator, and dividing both numbers by the same factor, which I did. I divided both 5 and 10 by 5. And now I multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 6 times 2 is 12. Love it. Okay. All right. Okay. Again, same principle. We should all by now be okay with dividing. Remember, we did this last year. So again, the only difference between this and what you learned last year is that now you have to worry about your signs. So this is a negative divided by a negative. So my answer is going to be, I'm just going to put it out there, positive. Now you just got to do it. So 6 over 1 divided by, not divided by, so let me just change that to multiplication problem. 4 over 3, which is negative. And again, we already know the answer is going to be positive, so I'm going to put a positive out there. You don't have to. Can I simplify anything before I multiply? Yeah, the 6 and the 3 here. I can divide 3 by 3, and I get 1. And I can divide 6 by 3 again, and I get 2. 2 times 4 is 8, so I get 8. Okay, and then I knew that, again, a negative times a negative is a positive. Now, this is called a complex fraction. A complex fraction is when you have a fraction in the numerator and a fraction in the denominator. So, not a big deal. Let's just write it out like this. Minus 5 over 12. Right? So again, it's just another way of writing it this way. So I know it's a negative on top and negative, so negative divided by negative, so my answer is going to be positive. All right, so let's prepare this for our division. So I'm going to 2 over 7. And I'm going to divide that. Let's change this to a improper fraction. 12 times 2 is, let me put the negative sign. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 5 is 27, over 5. Right, now they're both in fraction format. I can change that to a multiplication problem. Times, and then let me use the what do you call it? Reciprocal. 5 goes on top, 27 at the bottom. Sorry, I keep forgetting the minus sign. Is there anything I can simplify? The 5 is 27. No. 5 is 7. No. 2 and 7. No. 2 and 27. So in this case, I just have multiply across. And like I said, we knew it was a positive because it's negative times a negative. 2 times 5 is 10. And 7 times 27, I have no idea. 189. Okay. So again, the only thing that we're adding is, for you to be aware of what the sign of, in this case, the division is going to be. So it's negative 4 and 1/2. So I'm going to change this right away to an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 8. We've got 9 over 2 divided by 14 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 17 over 14. Negative again. So that multiplication, reciprocal, which is negative. Can I simplify anything? I can simplify the 2 and 14, right? They're both even, so I can divide 2 by 2, which is 1. I can divide 14 by 2, and I get 7. Now I can't simplify anything else. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 9 times 7 is 63, and 1 times 17 is 17. I can leave it like this, or if you want to take the time to change this to a mixed number, 17 goes into that, I don't know, 4 times? No, 3 times. 17 times 3 is 51, so I'm going to have 12 left over 17. All that being positive. So again, I'm going to change that to an improper fraction right away. 2 times. Did I just do that? Yes. So let me do the last one. So it's 3 over 2 divided by, and again, the first thing I'm going to do is write this horizontally. So I know this answer is going to be negative because it's a positive fraction times a negative fraction. Divided by a negative fraction, sorry. So I'm going to change this to a multiplication problem. It becomes 8 over 9. Oops. Simplify? Yeah, a lot of simplification here. Simplifying to here. Did I say simplification? Jeez. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Let's do 2 and 8. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So nothing else to simplify. So it's going to be a negative answer. 1 times 4 is 4 over 3. If you want to change that to a mixed number, you got 1 and 1/3. But all that negative. Okay? 13. 32 divided by the opposite of 4. So 32 divided by the opposite of 4, which is negative 4. So now I have a positive divided by a negative. It's going to be a negative. 32 divided by 4 is 8. The quotient of the opposite of 30. So quotient, I'm dividing two things, so I want to find the quotient. The answer to the opposite of 30, which is negative 30, divided by the opposite of 6, which is negative 6. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. 15. In a sports competition, Alyssa was penalized negative 16 points. She received the same number of penalties in each of 4 events. So she was penalized 4 points. So she lost. In the first event, she got penalized negative 16. And then the second event, she got penalized another negative 16. Another negative 16. And she accumulated a lot of negative points. So you can do it that way or multiply by 4. Either way, it don't matter. So negative 16 plus negative 16 plus negative 16 is going to be a big negative number, which is going to be 64. Or multiply this and you get the same way, same answer. A negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 16, negative 64. So you got 2 ways of doing this, however you want to interpret it. Temperature, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Ooh, temperature problem. It was 95 something degrees on Sunday. I wish. By Wednesday, the temperature was half of that. What was the temperature on Wednesday? So 95 and half of that divided by 2. Wow, that's a big drop. Okay, so that's what? 47.5, is it? Something like that? 47.5? No tricks here. The assembly of a machine takes 3/4 of an hour. So to build a machine Let's just make this a machine, right? There's a lot of complicated things, so let's make that a machine. Right, so building this takes 3/4 of an hour or 45 minutes. There are 12 steps in the assembly process. So to make this thing over here, I have to follow 12 steps. What is the average time for each step? So 3/4 of an hour it takes me to build this whole thing. And I'm going to divide that by the 12 steps that took me to build that, right? The 12 steps took me 3/4 of an hour. So division problem. 3/4, let me put that over 1, so I can change that to 1 over 12. Simplify 3 and 12. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 4 is 16. So each step took me 1/16 of an hour. Jeez. 18. How many quarter-pound packets of plant food can the garden shop make out of 8 pounds? So if I have 8 pounds and I want to break that into 1/4 packet, 1/4 pounds, right? How many 1/4s can fit into 8? Well, that's simple enough. 8 over 1 times 4 over 1, 32 over 1, or just 32. I can make 32 packets. 19. This one is going to require a little work. So, bought 40 uniforms, and the total cost was $3,000. After the return, some of the uniforms only received $40. After soccer season, they returned some of the uniforms, but only received $40 per uniform. What was the difference? Okay, so beginning of the season, I spent $3,000 and I bought 40 uniforms. So how much did it cost per uniforms? Alexa, what's 3,000 divided by 40?
3,000 divided by 40 equals 75.
So each uniform in the beginning of the season cost me 75. So at the end, so this is at the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, I returned some of those uniforms, maybe some that were not used, and I got $40 for the ones I returned. So if I paid $75 and at the end, when I returned them, the ones I didn't use for $40, the difference between 75 and 40 is 35. So that's what's the difference. Okay, so I didn't get my the full value that I had initially paid for them. I got a little bit more than half. Surprised you can return it. Okay, back. So commuter has $245 in his savings account. Okay, the account just buys $15 each week. So in one time period, the account changed by $240. How many weeks did the commuter buy tickets? So you have $245 in your banks, right? Every week after week 1, they take $15 off. It's minus 15 from that. Week 2, you're going to take another 15 from that balance. Week 3, sorry, this will be week 2. Wow. Week, oh my God. Week 2, you're going to take another $15, right? And the account changed by $240, so by negative. So how long did it take for it to go all the way to 240? So week 4 was another minus 15. So eventually all these minus 15 is going to add up to this. So how many weeks did it take to get to 240? Well, that's not that bad. So 240 divided by 15, and Alexa, 240 divided by 15 is going to be?
This might answer your question. 240 divided by 15 is 16.
So it took.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. So it took 16 weeks for this person.
Thanks for your feedback.
Oh my God. It took 16 weeks, right, to spend $240. Okay. How much must he add to his account if he wants to have 20 worth in his? So assuming, so he had 245, he spent 240, right? So he has $5 in his bank account right now. So how much must he add to this balance in order to have 20 weeks worth? Well, 20 weeks worth. So $15, let's multiply by 20. For 20 weeks of tickets, it's going to be 0, 10. He needs to have $300 in his account. Okay, so if he has $5 already, he needs to add plus $2.95. Okay. 21. The surface temperature of a deep Springfield lake is 70 degrees. The lake temperature drops, so it's 70 degrees. So you have a land here, right? So on the top, on the ground is 20 feet. So for each yard below until 6 yards. So every drop of a yard, so man, what do I? Okay, hang on a second. So let me make this the ground level. Okay, so 0 level, the temperature is 70 degrees, and the lake temperature drops 2 degrees Fahrenheit for each yard below artillery. So at -1, it's going to be 68 degrees. At -2, below sea lake, it's going to be 66. At -3, it's going to be 64. At -4, let me just make, I'm not going to make everything here, -5, so 64, 62, 60, 58 degrees. So the deeper you go into the water, the colder it gets. Yeah, that makes sense. From -6 to -15, the temperature is constant. So if -6, -58, from -6, so this is also going to be 58 degrees. So from here, in this area, from -6 to -15, the temperature seems to be the same. From 15 yards down to the spring start, which is all the way down, the temperature increases 20 yards. So again, from 15, the temperature increases, so per foot. Oh my god, now we're changing per foot. So from 15 to 20, that's 5 yards, right? 1 yard is 3 feet, so 5 yards would be 15 feet. So from here, there's 15 feet. So 15 feet, and what did it say? 3, so 15 feet, and 3 degrees per foot. So from here to here, from 15 to 20, it's going to increase 3 times 15. There's going to be a temperature increase here of 45 degrees. So it's going to be plus 45 when you reach the bottom. So by the time you get to 20 degrees, 20 feet below, 20 yards, 20 yards underground, okay, you're going to travel 15 feet, right? So by the time you get to 20 yards underground, you're going to add 45, 58 plus 45, 13 goes 1. You're going to have a temperature of 103 degrees. So it got colder, and then it got warmer. Okay, so by the time you reach -20, it got to 103. What's the temperature 10 yards below the surface? Well, below the surface, it's going to be -10 is over here, and anything that's between -6 and -15 is 58 degrees, so that's A. With a temperature of 50 feet below, 50 feet, let's divide that by 3. To find out the yardage, 20 divided by 3 is going to be 1, 3, 20 left over, goes 16. 18 to 16, about 16.3 yards. 16.3 yards is going to be 58. Oh my god. What's 3? And it's 9. Why did I put in yard? I should have put in feet. So 50 feet below surface level is going to be 16.3 yards under surface level, okay? And from 15 to 16, it's 1 yard, 1 1/3 of a yard, so that's going to be 4 feet. And 4 feet, 4 feet times 3 is going to be 12. 58 plus 12 is going to be 70 degrees. Okay, that the answer is 70. Okay, I'll try to show this better tomorrow. Write an expression for finding lake temperature at the spring source. To find the temperature at the spring source. I already did find the temperature at the spring source. So the temperature spring source is going to be this. Right expression. It's going to be 58, right? Because we're going to start at 15 here. So from here to here, it's 5 yards or 45 feet, right? It's going to be your base temperature, which in this case is 15, and it's going to be 45 feet. Sorry, what am I doing? 45 feet, 15 feet, 15 feet times the number of, there you go. So from 5 to 20, it's 5 yards, right? In 5 yards, there's 15 feet. So at 15 is 58 degrees for it, and you're going to have 15 feet over here. So every foot is going to increase by 3 degrees in temperature. So let's see if I get 103. So 58. 15 times 3 is 45, and 58 plus 45 is indeed 103. Okay, so little calculation here. Nice question. Okay, hopefully, pretty sure I confused everybody. The next one, the quotient. So again, I'm going to divide 12 divided by the opposite of 3. So let me, actually, you know what? Remember, I like you to write as a, excuse me, as a fraction. Again, thank you very much for whoever gave me this code. The quotient of 12 and the opposite of 3, which is -3, plus the product, we're multiplying the product of the opposite of 14, which is -14. We're going to multiply that by 4. This is what my expression looks like. 12 divided by the opposite of 3 plus the product, these two numbers multiplied. So you can even put that in parentheses, but we don't need it because even if we didn't put the parentheses, what would go first? The multiplication. But I'll put it there just so that you know that these two come first. So let's continue. Let's see if I can make this whole bottom, the denominator, into a single number. -14 times 4 is 56, but it's negative because it's a negative times a positive. And I'm going to add that to -3. -3 plus -56, I can't make 0 pairs, so that is just going to be a bigger bunch of negatives, so it's going to be -59. And 12 divided by -59, and that's it. We don't have to do anything. I don't want you to actually divide. So my answer is going to be a negative fraction, 12 over 59. So if you left it like that, it's completely fine. Okay? That is it for this one.